A plant I have a complicated relationship with, garlic mustard. We're going to make some garlic mustard pesto today. I do not love this plant, but I am compelled to use it because it's a great plant for beginning foragers. It's easy to identify, there's no poisonous lookalikes, it's widespread, and it's invasive in North America, terribly invasive where I live. So first we're going to harvest some, and what I'm trying to show you here before my camera falls off of my bag it was perched on is that we're going to remove the whole plant, including the roots. A lot of people kind of have this ethical dog whistle where they say, I harvested garlic mustard leaves, I'm doing something good. Well, if you didn't remove the roots from the plant before the plant is in the flowering stage, you've done nothing to control the spread of garlic mustard. And all you did was bring a plant that's really bitter home, and now you're going to have to cook with it. Very important here. We're going to trim the garlic mustard so that there's only about half an inch to an inch of stem. You want a lower amount of stem. Get the least amount of stem on the greens as possible, because with things like pesto, it can turn your pesto into grass clipping pesto. And you can see I'm a little bit lazy here. Make sure to pick out stems and twigs when you're washing them, but my stems were a little bit longer. It's not the end of the world. Take your greens after you wash them. We're going to blanch them in boiling salted water and do this for like 30 to 60 seconds until everything is tender and it at least tastes tender to you. As you're cooking, you can pick out any other twigs. You can see I was a little bit lazy here because hate cooking this plant. But if you like garlic mustard, the pesto is one of the better ways to have it. But the shoots are even better. Then another secret here that we can take from Italian cuisine, you can take the greens and put them in ice water, cold water to stop the cooking, and then you can soak them overnight to calm that bitter flavor. That is optional. Some people don't do that. But if you really can't take the bitter, but you want to try to harvest garlic mustard, try cooking them and soaking them in water overnight in the fridge. Then we're going to squeeze as much water out as humanly possible, because water will dilute your pesto and make it watery. Now, this is very important. We're not just going to put it into the food processor. We need to finely chop the greens, because you can see there's all these little pieces of stem here, and we don't want to make grass clipping pesto. Now, in an attempt to make the plant actually taste decent, we're going to add some ramps, and I'm also going to add a nice little handful of fresh herbs. That could be basil. I'm actually using culantro. Basil is probably the best here. Then we're going to add cheese. We're going to add nuts. These are butternuts. You could use sunflower seeds, which are really cheap and a good substitute for pine nuts. And garlic mustard has a strong flavor, so I'm going to add a little bit of hot crushed red pepper flakes and another secret ingredient that is totally optional that I usually don't add to pestos. Now we're just going to add some oil. I'm using blended olive oil here. If you use pure extra virgin, it's going to increase the bitter taste of the pesto, which with garlic mustard is plenty bitter. And don't feel bad if you make anything with garlic mustard and think it's too bitter. It is very, very bitter. So that's why we add a little bit more cheese, a little bit more nuts than usual. And you can see this pesto's a little bit coarse. I don't want it loose with too much oil, but I do want to have it nice and pasty. Such a great term, pasty. So we'll just add enough oil so that it comes together and is, not liquid, but it's not really chunky. And you can see I'm just going and adding a little bit of extra cheese, a little bit of extra pepper, and I'm tasting and seasoning repeatedly, because this plant really needs some love if you want to serve it to anyone who is not a forager. And lemon zest there, great addition to a lot of different pestos. Also a little bit of lemon juice at the end. So I add a little anchovy to this. This is totally optional, okay? But garlic mustard has a really strong flavor. So we can add other strong flavors here. Anchovy doesn't make it taste fishy, but it adds a little bit of salt and a little bit of umami. Now when we're going to plate the pasta, we take our pasta. It's about 8 ounces of cooked pasta. We're going to add about 3 tablespoons or 4 tablespoons of pesto. Just add it to taste, but I'm adding pasta water there to thin this out. And we're trying to not really cook this too much. That burner is turned off. Taste a little bit. Now it's ready to go, but we're continually adding water, hot pasta water, as we need to thin that pesto and help it coat the noodles. You can also use heavy cream. In my opinion, it's kind of a waste because it's garlic mustard. Add that to nettle or ramp pesto. I'll add a little bit more pesto, a little bit more cheese. You can see tasting and seasoning, and just using that pasta water to help the pesto get diluted a little bit and coat the noodles in a bitter, cheesy, garlicky, slightly spicy sauce. Then we twist the noodles, put them in the bowl, twist some more, put them on top. Then we take all the goodies and put the sauce on top. And it shouldn't be crazy saucy, it should be just enough to coat the noodles. A little cheese, a little fresh pepper at the end. You can put some of those ugly garlic mustard leaves on top if you want. And that is one of the more palatable ways I've had garlic mustard. The full recipe is on my website. There's a link at the top of the video description for that. Thanks for watching.